Hi, I'm Ren Joshua Tan, and today we're going to talk about the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or known as Marpol 7378. The Marpol Convention is the international convention covering prevention of pollution of the marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. It is a combination of two treaties adopted in 1973 and 1978, respectively, and updated by amendments through the years. The International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO and covered pollution by oil, chemicals, and harmful substances in packaging form, sewage, and garbage. The Protocol of 1978 relating to the 1973 International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, 1978 Marpol Protocol, was adopted at a conference on tanker safety and pollution prevention in February 1978, held in response to a spate of tanker accidents in 1976 to 1977. Measuring relating to tanker design and operation were also incorporated into a Protocol of 1978 relating to the 1974 Convention on the Safety of Life at Sea, 1974. The convention includes regulation aimed at preventing and minimizing pollution from ships, both accidental pollution and that from routine operation, and currently includes 6 technical annexes, special areas with strict controls on operational discharges included in most annexes. First, we're going to talk about the Annex 1, Regulation for the Prevention of Pollution by Oil, entered into force October 2, 1983. Revised Annex 1 entered into force January 1, 2007. Covers prevention of pollution by oil from operational measures as well as from accidental discharges. The 1992 amendments to Annex 1 made it mandatory for new oil tankers to have double hull and brought in a phase-in schedule for the existing tankers to fit double hulls, which was subsequently revised in 2001 and 2003. Waste oil generated in a ship originates from several systems such as sludge, slop, bilge, and ballast water system. The input of oil to the sea from ship operation is due to illegal and legal discharges. Generally, ship-generated oily waste can either be delivered to shore, incinerated on board legally, or illegally discharges to sea. Oil tankers transport some 1,800 million tons of crude oil around the world by sea, including 50% of U.S. oil imports, crude oil, and refined products. Most of the time, oil is transported quietly and safely. Measures introduced by IMO have helped ensure that the majority of oil tankers are safely built and operated and are constructed to reduce the amount of oil spilled in the event of an accident. Operational pollution such as from routine tank cleaning operation has also been cut. Second, we're going to talk about Annex 2, Regulation for the Control of Pollution by Noxious Liquid Substances in Bulk. Details the discharge criteria and measures for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances carried in bulk. Some 250 substances were evaluated and included in the list appended to the convention. The discharge of the residues is allowed only to reception facilities until certain concentrations and conditions are complied with. In any case, no discharge of residues containing noxious liquid substances is permitted within 12 miles of the nearest land. And next is Annex 3, Prevention of Pollution by Harmful Substances Carried by Sea in Package Form. Contains general requirements for the issuing of detailed standards on packing, marking, labeling, documentation, stowage, quantity limitation, exceptions, and notifications. For the purpose of this annex, harmful substances are those substances which are identified as marine pollutants in the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code or IMDG code, or which meet the criteria of the appendix of Annex 3. The regulations were developed in order to identify marine pollutants so that they can be packed and stowed on board ship in such a way as to minimize accidental pollution as well as to aid recovery by using clear marks to distinguish them from other classes. The rules on discharging harmful goods are straightforward. Jetsoning of harmful substances carried in package form shall be prohibited except where necessary for the purpose of securing the safety of the ship or saving life at sea. The annex state that appropriate measures based on the physical, chemical, and biological properties of harmful substances shall be taken to regulate the washing of leakages overboard, provided the compliance with such measures would not impair the safety of the ship and person on board. The annex applies to all ships carrying harmful substances in package form or in freight containers, portable tanks, or road rail tank wagons. Next is Annex 4, Prevention of Pollution by Sewage from Ships. Contains requirements to control pollution of the sea by sewage. The discharge of sewage into the sea is prohibited except when the ship has in operation an approved sewage plant treatment, or the ship is discharging disinfected sewage using an approved system at a distance of more than 3 nautical miles from the nearest land. Sewage which is not disinfected has to be discharged at a distance of more than 12 nautical miles from the nearest land. In July 2011, IMO adopted the most recent amendments to Marpol Annex 4, which entered into force on January 1, 2013. The amendment introduced a Baltic Sea as a special area under Annex 4 and new discharge requirements for passenger ships while in a special area. The discharge of raw sewage into the sea can create health hazard. Sewage can lead to oxygen depletion and can be an obvious visual pollution in coastal areas. A major problem for countries with tourist industries. The main sources of human-produced sewage are land-based, such as municipal sewers or treatment plants. However, the discharge of sewage into the sea from ships also contributes to the marine pollution. Legal requirements Annex 4 contains a set of regulations regarding the discharge of sewage into the sea from ships, including regulations regarding the ship's equipment and systems for the control of sewage discharge, the provision of facilities at ports and terminal for the reception of sewage, and requirements for survey and certification. It also includes a Model International Sewage Pollution Prevention Certificate to be issued by National Shipping Administration to ships under their jurisdiction. It is generally considered that on high seas, the ocean are capable of assimilating and dealing with raw sewage through natural bacterial action. Therefore, the regulation of Annex 4 of Marpol prohibit the discharge of sewage into the sea within a specified distance of the nearest land unless they have in operation and approved sewage treatment plant. Government are required to ensure the provision of adequate reception facilities at ports and terminals for reception of sewage. Next is Annex 5, Prevention of Pollution by Garbage from Ships. Deals with different types of garbage and specify the distance from land and the manner in which they may be disposed of. The most important feature of the annex is complete ban is imposed on disposal into the sea of all forms of plastic. In July 11, IMO adopted extensive amendments to Annex 5, which entered into force on January 1, 2013. The revised Annex 5 prohibits the discharge of all garbage into the sea except as provided otherwise under specific circumstances. Garbage from ships can be just as deadly to marine life as oil or chemicals. The greatest danger comes from plastic, which can float for years. Fish and marine mammals can, in some cases, mistake plastic for food, and they can also become trapped in plastic ropes, nets, bags, and other items. Even such innocuous items as plastic rings used to hold cans of beers and drinks together. It is clear that a good deal of garbage washed up on beaches comes from the people on shore. Holiday makes who leave their rubbish on beach, fishermen who simply throw unwanted refuse over the side, or from towns and cities that dump rubbish into rivers or the sea. But in some areas, most of the rubbish found from passing ships, which find it inconvenient to throw rubbish overboard rather than dispose of it in ports. For a long while, many people believed that oceans could absorb anything that was thrown into them. But this attitude has changed along with greater awareness of the environment. And last is Annex 6, Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships. Sets limits on sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide emission from ships' exhaust and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances. Designated emission controls areas set more stringent standards for sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide and particulate matter. In 2011, after extensive work and debate, IMO adopted groundbreaking mandatory technical and operational energy efficiency measures which will significantly reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from ships. These measures were included in Annex 6 and entered into force on January 1, 2013. Applied to all 400 gross tonnage and above which have to carry an International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate or IATP certificate. This certificate must be on board at delivery for a ship constructed after May 19, 2005 for ships constructed before this date. The certificate must be on board at the first scheduled dry docking after May 19, 2005, but not later than 2019. But not later than May 19, 2008. Ship of less than 400 tons still have to comply with this legislation where applicable. But in their case, the administration may establish appropriate measures in order to ensure that Annex 6 is complied with. The Annex 6 also has Regulation 12, ozone depleting substances, Regulation 13, nitrogen oxide, Regulation 14, sulfur oxide and particulate matter, Regulation 15, volatile organic compounds, Regulation 16, shipboard incineration, Regulation 17, reception facilities. And last is Regulation 18, fuel, oil quality, and availability. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.